Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list, I am checking out 10 notes that are graded 25. Yeah, we're continuing with the grading series here, just to help you guys learn a little bit about how to grade your notes and what differentiates one grade from another. Now, last week I did the 20s, a very fine 20. The note is moderately circulated with numerous folds, mild soiling. There are no serious detractions, but there may be minor defects. That was last week with a 20, and I did bring out a 20. I am over by the front window so that I'm getting direct sunlight. That just lights up all the different creases. You can see there's one here. You can see all the little folds here. Definitely soiling, very light stain over here. If you look along the top edges, that really shows all the different little creases in there. So yeah, this one is a 20. It's not bad. Everything is pictured on here. It's not in bad shape at all. It's just circulated. So yes, it is soiled. Don't try cleaning your notes. That's only going to make things worse. But yeah, that was a 20. That was last week. This week we are talking about 25s. And a very fine 25 is a note that shows modest evidence of circulation as well as more folds and or soiling than a note graded 30. Still considered very fine. Let's see, what's the first one I got? First one I got is a $1 1923 legal tender. This one's graded 25. Now, as you can see, there are some hard folds. It does have hard folds here, and the note is dirty. It's not a clean note. So once again, do not clean your notes. But aside from the dirt and aside from those folds, the note itself's in pretty good shape. Yes, it does show, a little bit of wear in the dirt like that, but that actually kind of helps identify how clear the note is in some portions, like here, like over here. If we take a look at the back of this note, once again, there's 3 prominent vertical folds and the 1 horizontal fold. But when you start looking at the edges of this note, you're not seeing as many folds as you would in some of the other notes. So they bumped this one up to a 25. That is that one. The next note I've got has the same issues. This is an 1869 $1 rainbow. And you can see this one right away with the same massive 3 folds there. It does have a fold across the center. But look at the image on the note itself. The image is really clear. You can see the hard crease that goes through it, which lets you know how easily those creases would be seen if there were any other ones. And you just don't have that many in the portrait itself. So the portrait looks very clean. Once again, look at the border of the note, because that's where you're going to see a lot of the creases show up, especially in sunlight. And, there's a little bit of dirt. Dirt don't hurt. It's okay. So yeah, that's what you're looking at there on this particular one. Here's the back. It shows those creases really prominently on the back, and it also shows the dirt. So, like I said, it's still graded 25. It's okay if the note has dirt on it. Don't think that you have to clean notes. Don't think that cleaning the note is going to improve the grade, because that will not. They actually called that a little bit of staining. But yeah, so 2 notes, both graded 25, both that have heavy creases in them like that. So yeah, it's interesting to see that. Just remember that it's not just the creases, it's what's between the creases. Next example, this one is number 4 on my, or number 6, 1098, 1098. This is number 7. This particular one is my $1 educational note from 1896. And if you look at this one closely, once again, you do have that center, or the hard fold here, hard fold here, hard fold here. And it does have a lighter fold across the center. But look at the rest of the note. This corner is kind of questionable, but the rest of the note, it's pretty good. It's not really that bad at all. It does have a little stain over here. Once again, if you look at the borders, especially in sunlight, that's where you're going to see, because the borders are white, you're going to see all the little shadows cast by sunlight. Checking out the back of this note, you can see the hard crease here, and these aren't as bad, and neither is the cross section. So yeah, that's why this one was given, a bump to 25. It does say minor rust. You can see the minor rust right there. But once again, overall, the inking is clear on this particular note. You got everything you want, and if you wanted to zoom in on this, you'd be able to read all that. If you had a camera much better than my phone. Anyway, so once again, another example of a 25. 10, 9, 8, 7. This is number 6. Number 6 is one of my error notes. Now this one surprised me. I didn't expect to see a 25 on this particular note, because I'm always telling you guys to look at the border where you can clearly see the wrinkling. You can clearly see all the folds in the note compared to where there is inking. And this is a prime example of that. With there being no ink here, you can see how creased and how folded. It does have one hard crease, lighter crease here, lighter crease here. But that allows that lets you see how many folds and how many creases are actually allowed in a 25. So yeah, this note has seen some things, but it hasn't been mishandled. It's clearly been handled, but not mishandled. Even looking at the front, it's not very dirty at all. It does have, like I said, numerous folds, numerous creases, but overall the note is still in good shape. So that's just an example of a modern note that got a 25. And this one, with, like I said, such a huge empty space of white, really lets you see the paper quality, especially since I'm holding it in the sunlight. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Number 5. Now here's the opposite example. This one was also graded a 25. This particular error is an offset print error, which means you now have not only the front of the note inking, but the back of the note that was offset print on the front. Now when it comes to grading this, you can see how difficult it is to actually discern the paper from the inking. But if you look on the edges here, there's your first hint. There's a pretty big crease here. You can see the creases here. Looking along the edge, that's where you can get a clear indication of how much this note has been handled. Looking at the back, there's a lot more white on the back, so you're able to discern how many creases and stuff a little bit better looking at the back. But once again, the note itself is all there. It's intact. It's not pristine, but you don't want it necessarily to be pristine, because then you're going to question whether or not that note has been cleaned. This note has been handled. It shows a little bit of dirt, and that's all fine. That'll still get you a 25. All right. That was number 5. Number 4. Number 4 is my 1922 $20 gold certificate. Now, once again, this is also graded out at a 25. And when you look at this note, at a glance, the note looks beautiful. But when you let that sunlight hit it, look at the top edge. Now all those wrinkles are starting to come through. You can see that there is some wrinkling through here as well. The rest of the note, though, is pretty good. If you look at the bottom, the wrinkles don't match up to the top. So it just seems to be that there's a lot of damage to the note on the top, but not necessarily on the bottom. Checking the back of this note, you can definitely see how much handling this note has had. It has this center crease that's filled with a little bit of dirt. That lets you know that this particular note, has been handled, has been worn. It's definitely not going to get a 30. But makes me wonder if someone didn't try cleaning the front of this note, because there are very bright white sections of this particular note here. And when you compare that to the back, the only part of the back that's dirty is the stuff that's in the fold. Now, you can see it was graded a 25. They did mark rust. And yeah, there is a little bit of rust. Actually, this particular note, there's more than a little bit of rust. There's the 2 rust spots. There's actually 2 holes in this note. That the rust spots are from staples. But they didn't ding it for that. They just dinged it for the rust. So, once again, a note that looks pretty good to the eye, but when you take a closer look at it, then you're able to discern all these other things and understand why it didn't get a 30. Number 3. Brought out my 1907 wood chopper. $5 wood chopper from 1907, also graded a 25. This one is also in real nice shape. Now you can see Major crease right here, crease here. It's got the horizontal crease to go with it as well. And looking at the rest of the note, you can see there's not a whole lot of border on this note, so it makes it a little tougher to see everything else. But if I turn it just this way, you can start to see some of the other folds that are in it here. Just trying to see all different light angles on this one for you. If we look at the back, now you can see the dirt coming into play. Once again, a couple light creases, a heavier crease here, heavier crease here. Looking at the bottom, you can see the dirt coming into play again. So it's not terrible as far as the dirt goes, but there are numerous creases in this particular note, so I can see how it was able to get the grade that it did. All right, next up, number 2. This is my 1896 $2 educational note. Now, the $2 educational note, when I got this, I thought this was going to grade a lot higher. But this is an example of what happens when a note is cleaned and pressed. That's the best way to put it. Now, it just says 25. The reason why I have a feeling it was cleaned and pressed, on the back, they call it minor repairs. That's what they listed this particular thing as. Now, minor repairs, trying to figure out what the repairs were, well, the repair clearly was that the note was cleaned and pressed. And the way you know that is, look at the face in the center right here. That face is not very clear, okay? Which indicates that there's been some circulation. And at a glance, this bill doesn't look like it was heavily circulated. But as you take a peek at that face, that's when you can see that, yeah, this note actually has seen some circulation. And that's kind of the giveaway that somebody has cleaned this note and pressed this note. It's very bright on the back as well, very little dirt. It does have creases, you can see those, but you don't see any dirt. So that's an indication that this note was cleaned. Now, there's also the feel, and of course it's in here so we can't feel the note. But after cleaning a note, then it is it's very usual for someone to press the note to try to eliminate some of those wrinkles. Now, this particular note, as good as it is, if it was not cleaned, would have gotten an EPQ. That would be exceptional paper quality. Since this note did not get an EPQ, and when you look at it, you wonder why, that's the tell. That's the tell that this note has been cleaned and pressed. And like I said, they just noted minor repairs on there because technically that's what you're doing. You're trying to repair the note. So that is why you do not clean a note. Now, I don't think that the cleaning hurt the grade. What hurts is the notation of minor repairs on the back. That's what hurts. Most people want to get notes that are note free. They want a clean note. They don't want to see anything written on the back. All right, and number 1 this week, this is my 1880 $10 legal tender. Now, this legal tender has a lot of the issues that the first notes had. You can see a major crease here, you can see a major crease here, you can see the major crease here. In fact, this one also has a hole dead center, and it was split. So I think the split goes all the way to that hole. Even so, the note was graded at 25. The note has not been cleaned. If you look, you can see all the dirt right here on the sides. If we look at the back of this note, once again, you can see that there's dirt here. There's, not a whole lot of creases, but there is this crease right here. And like I said, those 3 verticals, the one across. Now, when you zoom in on this note, let's go real close. Areas like this, you can see are just beautiful. There's a lot of detail in there. There's not a lot of creases, not a lot of dirt. In these centers of these folds, you can see the quality of the note. And like I said, even zooming in on the obligation on the back, you can read the entire obligation. So as far as grading this note goes, yeah, that's why even though this note has some problems, they still gave it the 25 because all of the pictures are still very crisp, even though the note itself may not be. And like I said, the note may have smaller problems like that. So that is running through what 25s look like. If you have a very fine 25, those are some of the things that you are going to see. Now, a 20 or a 25, they are really close. The best way to discern one from the other is side by side, which is why I wanted to bring this 20 out to compare that side by side with a 25. And you can see some of the differences when you do that side by side like that. All right, guys, that's what I've got for you this week. If you learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. Love reading all your comments. Next week, I'm going to bring out some 30s and 35s, and we'll see what happens with those. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.